Welcome to the Chai Academy, being broadcast from the Chai Center. We are in the middle of a course titled Jewish Ethics and Belief. So the computer's acting up. Jewish ethics and beliefs. Now, the discussion that we've been having is really what does Judaism say about certain things. And yesterday's discussion, eye for an eye, what does that mean? Got some interesting positive feedback, because there's so much in that word, eye for an eye, and the ethics behind this is really, ethical teachings is really incredible. If you wish to see this class or any other class, you can go to thechaicenter.com/academy. Good afternoon, Eileen. Today's class is, we're going to focus on a verse the Torah mentions again and again and again. And the Torah says, be kind to the ger. Ger means the alien, because you were gerim, you were aliens, you were, residential aliens, you were green carded in Egypt. It's interesting, ger means alien, but ger also means convert, which is antithetical to alien. Convert means you converted in and you one of the bunch, one of the group, and alien means you're outside, you're not in the club yet. And the Torah uses ger and ger for both things. So and in additional Torah verse it says be kind to the convert. Here specifically it talks about be kind to the alien, because you were yourselves aliens in Egypt. So the obvious question is, the Torah doesn't tell us to smile. The Torah doesn't tell us to be, the Torah doesn't tell us not to be curt, not to be rude, not to, any of these basic, values and that we're brought up with. A parent will tell you, don't hit your classmate. No, stop with the hitting. Just talk. Go to the principal. Go to the teacher. A parent would tell you, say thank you when grandma gives you the gift. Parent will tell you, usually the mother, hey, sweetie, you have to respond to the person when they talk to you. You can't just look. Parents, etc., they teach their kids. The Torah doesn't state all those obvious things. So why would the Torah teach us to be kind to the alien, to the immigrant? Because you were immigrants in a strange land in Egypt. So and one of the reasons I believe the Torah does teach it, because there is a human condition. It's proven that a child that is reared in an abusive household, the father's a lush, beats the mother, so often the child becomes his father. They say that when somebody's sexually abused, there's a high chance they're going to sexually abuse others. I mean, that's the horror, by the way, of a sexual abuser, because he does not only, I say he, but mostly he does not only just affect, aside from his jollies, but it affects generations to come. And so we know that when you're brought up rough, you'll bring others up rough. And so the Torah tells you, the Torah is bringing this out, bringing it to the forefront, because the Torah wants to teach us that don't go with human nature. Don't go with the flow. Human nature is, you had pain, you suffered, you were an alien, okay? You got your lickings, now it's their turn. And just like you were hazed, they were hazed. Just like you were mistreated, now it's time for them. Every dog has its day, right? So the Torah tells us don't. Human nature may tell you that, but the Torah is telling you otherwise. Do not fall into the trap of going back to your autopilot the way you were treated. And by the way, it's not only immigrants. It's anything. You were harmed. You were pained. You were wounded. You were suffered mentally, physically, emotionally. The Torah tells us not only is there no mitzvah in doing it to others, but the Torah is telling us not to do it to others. Not to. Don't. And you may have it deep. You know, a kid that's sexually abused, right? It becomes part of their DNA, right? The trauma causes it to stick until obviously they get serious help. So the Torah is telling us, trauma here, trauma there, don't do it. Because you suffered, don't cause others to suffer. And by the way, this is not just a Jewish ethic. This would be a non-Jewish ethic also. When the Torah uses alien, it could mean literally immigrant, but it could also mean somebody not of your culture, someone not of your faith, somebody, not of, if you're a non-Jew, a Gentile Christian. If I'm Jewish, so a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Taoist, I can't treat them poorly because they're not my faith. And I wish this lesson, by the way, would go to others. I mean, God knows what the Christians in latter years, in early years did, and the Muslims doing now. It's just and part of it, by the way, part of it of not judging somebody is because you are not their judge. You are not their jury. And you're definitely not the executor. You're not. They say when somebody points a finger at somebody, so there's three fingers being pointed back at you, right? So judge yourself. Take care of yourself. Make sure that you're doing everything correctly before you start criticizing someone else. Before you even start criticizing your own kids, I believe. Criticism is poison. And therefore, if you criticize your own children, you're basically injecting poison. And you don't want to do that. So instead of being their judge and jury, be their advocate. Be their counselor. Be their therapist. Be their parent. Be their friend. Whatever the relationship may be, because that is really what is asked of you, right? That's an ethic, and it's a universal ethic as well. I think too often, by the way, in the current political climate, somebody has an opinion different than yours, and you either say it and you repulse the other person, or you don't say it and you're bothered because you don't want to be judged by another person. So this is antithetical to a Jewish ethic. Healthy discussion, healthy debate is paramount for a world to exist. I mean, officially that's why the UN was created, right? The fact that the UN picks on Israel makes me say abolish it, but that's why it was created. It was created for healthy debate and healthy discussion, and to let if there's two countries that can't speak, well, you bring it to the UN, etc. So the idea is we should be able to talk. We should be able to, and we should be able to, more importantly, talk. We should be able to listen to somebody. I'm very conservative politically, and there's somebody once shared with me. It was only a couple of months ago, and shared with me that how I can be conservative in this particular issue. I'm not conservative in every issue. I can be conservative on this issue, but let me just give you the other side of the coin. And I said, I'm willing to listen. And the person told me the other side of the coin. And you know what? It changed. It changed my opinion. Right? I'm still conservative. I don't want to say what it was, but I'm still conservative on the issue. But the way for myself, but the way I view it for someone else is radically changed. Why? Because I listened. And even if I didn't agree, I still would have listened. I had the benefit of listening. Right? So you want somebody to hear your opinion, be ready to hear someone's opinion. You don't want to feel judged, don't judge others. You don't want to get beaten up, don't beat up others. And furthermore, this thing with because you are, treat the aliens nicely because you were yourself a sojourner, you were an immigrant, right? It teaches us that we have to be extra sensitive. We have to be super empathetic. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem Shalom. Rabbi Siev, Big Mo. Big Mo is coming next Friday night to the Chai Center for a Friday night dinner and discussion about the great Kabbalists of Tzvat, Safed. Big Mo lives and runs an organization, Kabbalistic organization in Tzvat, and he's joining us today. So good day and welcome. You have to be super empathetic. You went through this. So human condition tells you, right? Well, you were treated rough. You got to treat others rough, as we said. The Torah tells us, au contraire. You went through it. You know what it was like to be mistreated, etc., etc., etc. So therefore, you have to not give in to your urges and to your human condition, but rather listen to what the Torah is saying. So I tell you, I was at an event last night and I heard the Prime Minister in exile of the Uyghurs. The Uyghurs are the Muslim population in China. I think it's southwestern China, I believe. And they're being persecuted by the Chinese. And and the person he spoke, he's the Prime Minister in exile. He lives in Washington. He lives in the capital, and his purpose is to educate and to try and make change about what's going on with the Uyghurs. Now, I live in Dix Hills, New York. The Uyghurs are as foreign to me, right, as a koala bear in Australia. I've absolutely no connection. But this person was speaking, and therefore I was listening. And it was painful. And it was very painful. There were Jews and non-Jews in the room. But it was very painful for me because what he was saying about how the Uyghurs are mistreated is essentially, it's a playbook from the Nazis. The Chinese who are mistreating the Uyghurs, I think it's UGHUR or something like that, the similarities were uncanny. And to me, that was, it struck a chord. And that's why I decided to talk about this today. It struck a chord is that it made me super sensitive as opposed to whatever. We as Jews, we know this is all about. Next. But no, it didn't. It struck a chord because, when they're talking about extermination camps, concentration camps, unfair practices, containment camps, DP camps, death and rape and pillage and to me, I got hot under the collar. I had my dander up because, my goodness, it's happening again. And I've always said, never again. Well, guess what? It may be never again for the Jewish people right now, but with the Uyghurs, it's happening now. And so I made my donation yesterday and vowed to speak about it. And just horrific. And now, as far as immigration specifically, I mean, we taught a couple days ago about the concept of tzedakah. Concept of tzedakah doesn't mean charity, which is voluntary. Tzedakah means righteousness, which is mandatory. You got to be righteous. You got to do the right thing. So it is definitely tzedek. It's definitely righteous to allow those who are less fortunate to come into this blessed country. However, tzedakah, righteousness, runs both ways. You cannot be righteous to an immigrant at the incredible expense and the lack of righteousness, rather, of the resident. If by bringing in an immigrant you bring disease, then it has to be quarantined, as they did in Ellis Island. Right now, the border, the southern border, there's no quarantining, there's no COVID. I mean, it's literally to our detriment. So, yes, there should be borders. There should be people coming through the borders. It's a beautiful thing to help, to assist, but it has to be tzedek. It has to be righteousness for the people coming in, and righteousness for the country that's absorbing them. And if it's a quarantine, it's a quarantine. To give an immigrant incredible amounts of money while our residents are homeless and our military is sleeping, on concrete floors, and people don't have food to eat, that doesn't make sense to me. Because you can't give tzedakah, you can't give charity, righteousness, right? You can't give money to the poor and have no money for your family and have to beg for alms. That's Jewish law. That is Jewish law, right? That you cannot do that. That if you beg for alms because you've given away your money, you're a fool. It's not noble at all. Right? So while it says be nice to the ger, because you were a ger in a strange land, that doesn't mean it has to be deleterious. Slightly uncomfortable, of course, but deleterious, where it really affects this country negatively to the point where it's just the point of insanity. Then that's not tzedakah. That's not righteousness. That's not tzedek. It's just not. It's just not. So, help somebody. Help a stranger. Help somebody who doesn't think like you, talk like you, act like you, dress like you, is a biblical command. Be kind. There's no room for racism and bigotry. Just isn't. There's not. It's abhorrent. And the Torah tells us right here, right? Be kind and gentle to somebody who's an alien, who's not you, different. Right? So that's in all ways, from a smile to to a helping hand. You have to do what a human being has to do. And to me, it's awesome that the Torah speaks about this. But in some ways, it's a little sad that God felt he had to write it down in his mandates. Because human beings, only they know how to be human beings. Please feel free to share this and any other class. If you have questions, you can ask it now. And for my writings, by the way, it's thechaicenter.com rabbi's blog. For videos, Chai Academy, you can find it at thechaicenter.com/academy, or on YouTube or on Spotify. God bless. We will see each other shortly. Be well. Take on the day.